PTF back with you in the Money Media channel. Unscheduled video because my view of the Rebel Stakes changed significantly with the news coming out today that Bullard, my top selection, spiked the fever. He will not be in the race. I was going to invite Mikey P back on this video. He couldn't make it, but he did arrange a DoorDash to send me some tissues. See, he doesn't share the enthusiasm I have for Bullard in general. He's given our man joining us on this video, Eric Decoster, a hard time. He's given me a hard time. That was very cheeky of him. But in his stead, we do bring in Eric Decoster, who is the mastermind behind the Derby top 10 list. Let me ask it this way first. Eric, was Bullard your selection in here before we got this news?
Absolutely. Yeah, I thought the race set up perfectly for him. As you and I have both kind of said, this is a horse who needed 2 turns, and this was finally the day. This is a tough race, but I felt like with how the race shaped up on paper, with the amount of speed that's still present in here, it was going to be a big day for him. And even if he didn't win, he was going to improve remarkably from that San Vicente effort, and it's a real shame we're not going to see him do it this weekend.
We'll get back to him at the end of the video, but I think we should just get into how our opinions have evolved at this point. With Bullard not going to participate, who is your selection? Folks looking for more of a detailed analysis of the field, go find our other video on the Rebel Stakes. But here we'll just sort of cut to the chase. Who do you like in this one now, Eric?
The answer is everybody. I mean, it was so much easier when Bullard was in it because I could cop out. But I think there's a handful, obviously, I like. But I really do, I think, more than anybody, like Cole Battle, especially at the price you'll probably get him at. I know his speed figures are a little lighter, but just the way he's handled himself in his last 3 wins, and especially these last 2, beating horses like Speed King and last time out, showing that versatility, winning the Smarty Jones. He's doing it all right, and I think versatility is going to be a key in this race because of that aforementioned speed. I think being able to ration himself a little bit is going to be a weapon that'll come useful come Sunday.
I hear where you're going with that. For me, I'm going to focus now on the Asmussen pair. Sometimes as horse players, we end up making the mistake of fighting the last war or overreacting to what we just saw. After Asmussen wins the Triple Crown Prep at 40-1, me looking to 2 of his long shots here may have a little bit of the whiff of that about it. But I swear, I like both of these horses individually. If forced to make a top pick in here, I'm going to go with Publisher over Tistastic. Publisher just had an absolute no chance trip last time. I think this horse had showed talent previously. I really like the look of that work 2 back with these 2 in company. Tistastic worse drawn and going to probably beat a shorter price. Publisher should be a massive price in here with so many other ways to go. I'm hoping the crowd doesn't overreact. Curious to get your take on the Asmussen pair in here, Eric. Will they be in your reckoning of this race in the end?
Absolutely. I'll side a little bit more with Tistastic. I really liked his progression from race to race. He has a lot of common races with Sandman, who I imagine will be a little heavier favorite now with the Bullard scratch. But Tistastic has had a very similar progression. He's jumped 10 buyer points in the last few races. And I thought that his running a lot of horses had trouble last time out in the Southwest. His was about as bad as any because he broke well, was involved early, but by the time they hit the far turn, he was second to last. He was farther back than Sandman, and yet finished up that final quarter mile and change at about the same time, really not too far off of him. So I'm really intrigued to see how he can run with a better trip, and obviously Jose Ortiz coming up from New Orleans to take the ride is a huge, huge plus for him.
Yeah, he stuck on very well late on in the piece last time and is one that could benefit from a fast pace, assuming he doesn't have all manner of difficulty again breaking from that. Well, he's moved 1 post in with the scratch of Bullard, but still pretty far out there in the 12 as of now. Going to be very interested to see how they do. One of the other stories of the race, I think, at this point with Bullard out, is what's going to happen at the top of the market with Sandman and Matticat Road. I think you tipped your hand. You think Sandman's going to be the favorite. I think that probably makes sense. Was the morning line selection for favoritism in this race and had that obvious trouble trip, the kind that people love to bet. I still wonder, though, if Bob Baffert, having won 86 runnings of the Rebel in the past, isn't going to catch a little bit of extra money with Matticat Road. How confident are you that Sandman will be the favorite over Matticat Road?
I think just, from a figure perspective, he's a little stronger, and visually he just looks so nice finishing off the Southwest with all the trouble he had. I think obviously, like you said, the Baffert effect, the West Coast effect in general is going to be very real. I know Nick Tamro kind of mentioned that this past weekend on the early week show, talking about how much bettors of Oaklawn on a day-to-day basis like horses who ship in from the West Coast. So that'll obviously play into it, but I still think that Sandman, given how well he is developed in these last few races, is going to catch the most attention.
It was a terrific race last time from Sandman, and very, very eye catching in terms of the trip, and the final time came back well. So I think that's probably correct. I'm glad you mentioned about the Nick recap, just because it reminds me to tell folks to subscribe to the In the Money Media YouTube channel. We've got basically daily content coming out at this point, and we've gotten very favorable responses. The best way to make sure you don't miss any of it, and it helps us out, is to subscribe to the channel. Click that notification bell as well. We know that about 70% of you at this point who are watching this video are not subscribed. Help us out. Do that. It will allow us to continue to bring you more great content along the road to the Kentucky Derby. One of my favorite pieces of content we've done these last couple of years has been with Eric's production help, the Derby top 10 list. We're going to have one dropping for you probably Monday with the update, putting your feet to the fire here and springing this on you. But at this point, our man Bullard, he has to drop down, if not out of the top 10. Have you given much thought where he's going to be now? I mean, they say for every day a horse has a fever, they're supposed to walk a week in the shed row. This is a horse who was already a little bit behind the eight ball. It's starting to look a little dodgy for our boy, my friend. Where do you think, what indication do you want to give me of where you might be putting him on the new list?
The goal will be to keep him around, that's for sure. Towards the bottom, I feel like in the back half of the top 10, it's getting a little dicey just with the results of last week, and I'm sure things will get shaken up even more come this weekend with both the John Battaglia at Turfway, and then, of course, this big one, the Rebel at Oaklawn. So I think I'll still keep him around as long as the word is he's still on the Derby Trail. Hopefully we get an answer to that sooner than later. But I really think this weekend's going to make it tough. I'm sure the winner of this Rebel will be there, but from there, it's pretty wide open, to be honest, right now.
It is. It's going to be fun to follow from now through the first Saturday in May. That noise you heard might have been Mikey P screaming at his computer that we're crazy to still talk about this horse as a top 10 Derby horse at this point. But until the news is official, I'll save these tissues and I'll cry into them when the news is official that Bullard is off the trail. Eric, thank you so much. We'll do an audio segment next week, you and me, going through the top 10 at length. Only place you're going to find that is if you subscribe to the In the Money Players podcast, wherever you get your pods. We'll be back here with lots more on the YouTube channel as well. Make sure to find us soon.